What's up? It's Joshua. So, like, I don't just talk about this because, like, you know, I'm messing at cameras. Like, it's from a lot of stuff's like super interesting. Like the stuff that I know that I don't really get to get into because I never really get to talk to anybody. So this is mostly like me having a conversation, like if you're sitting here. But I mean, so anyway, I was talking about like the New Testament's Roman propaganda. Well, it might not just be Roman propaganda. They're like, well, how could you prove that? Well, I've already proven it, but you don't want me to take it a step farther. I told you I can get within pretty close to how the whole thing was developed, right? So Caesar Augustus implements Christianity in like what 325 AD, right around there, or a little bit before that. Well, you got to take things into the concept of what life was like then, not like it is now. People couldn't read. There weren't books, right? People weren't educated. There wasn't school. People were impoverished. People were basically slaves to the government and to whoever was in charge of the army and the government. Everybody was impoverished. There wasn't medicine. I mean, people couldn't read. They couldn't think. They didn't know any better. So whoever was the king or read edicts, and that's what you did, right? So Caesar Augustus implements Christianity. Well, it wasn't like Jesus Christ, go out and make disciples of everybody. No, you know what he did? He passed a law of the whole Roman Empire that you had to go to Mass by death. By You had to go. Everybody had to go. They had to go every Sunday. It was the law. He implemented it as a law. It went on for about 300 years in the whole Roman Empire till it collapsed. You would be brainwashed by that time. After 300 years, Christianity is in place. I don't even think the Vatican was even really created until like about 600 or something like that, right? So here's the thing. So it's ingrained into the Roman civilization. The Visigoths, the Vandals, they come, they sack Rome. Right? The Roman Empire breaks apart. It breaks up into all kinds of different. England starts to form, France starts to form, Germany starts to form, right? Roman Empire breaks apart, but what stays in place is what do they all still have in common? They don't have language in common. They don't have culture in common. Well, somewhat of the Roman culture, but they have their own cultures. The thing that they have in common, because when the Romans came in and they took up all these different places that had different gods, they implemented them all into Christianity. That's why Christianity has so many different gods. Because whatever, like they'd be like, oh, that one looks cool. Oh, the Celtic god, Odin god, yeah, Zeus, oh, yeah. And there's like all these different gods. That's why there's all these different festivals and teachings and names of why his name's Jesus and different things. Because there's a whole bunch of different pagan religions. It's like a gumbo in New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? They just threw all the gods in there and all these different things, but it was mostly about we hate the Jews, right? That's why, that's the one thing that they all had in common. That's why Christianity prevailed in all the different places, is because even though it was the Roman religion, they didn't go back to their own because, first of all, they'd already been brainwashed. Second of all, they had figured out when it broke apart, they were like, oh, wow, this is a great way to collect taxes without collecting taxes. People will just give us their money. And, it did a lot of good. That's how society, that's how modern day society actually was built. Through giving to the church, your tithing, taxes. But it's taxes being a Southern, giving money to Rome, and then, but they built big bridges and whatever. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of good that came out of or what have you. I'm not saying it wasn't God's perfect plan, but the one thing they're like, oh, okay, we can collect money from these people, and they're happy to give it to us. First off, right? Second off, see, you know that I'm supposed to be making a video because right when I make it, oh, you know what I mean? It's always unnecessary noise. Right when I go to make a video, it's like every time. God times it like that. Let's see if you can throw me off my train of thought. So anyway, they got that. And so, and the central base is still in Rome. So the Vatican forms. Why does the Vatican form in 600? Because Rome gets sacked. Something's got to take its place. Right? So the Vatican pops up. Right? And the church is still prevalent. And that's where the Vatican and the Papal States starts getting it. That's where its power evolves. Right? Because all these places they're still under the same religion. They're still under Christianity, right? And they're still under this brainwashed sense of so it needs a central thing. So it becomes a thing. The Vatican becomes a thing, right? And you're like, well, how do you prove it? Well, you want to know how it's like one or two things, all right? When Jesus, because a house divided against itself cannot stand, how can I possibly control demons? How can I possibly control demons? And then this guy comes out of a cave, right? And he goes, well, Legion. And Jesus goes, I can't control demons except for this one time. And he pulls the demons out, controlling them, and puts them in some swine. And he goes, and I'm not going to even get into the religious aspect, but isn't that controlling demons? Well, that's not even the important part of the story either. The important aspect of it is one of two things. All right. Demons have been around forever since like the beginning of Adam and Eve. Satan and the demons and the Watchers and the Torah and the Talmud. Demons have been around for like 3,000 years, 4,000 years before Christianity even pops up and Jesus gets on the scene. That Rome wasn't even there yet. Rome hasn't even been Latin, Rome, all that stuff is not even a concept yet. Right? So demons have been around for 4,000 years. They were named Legion after the Legion army of Rome. So when the Watchers came down, that was their original name. Well, Legion in Latin that didn't even exist, and the Roman army, which doesn't even exist, was the name of the demons. Were their names something before that, and they got a name change? They had to get an SR-22 name change. They had to go to Satan and go, hey, Satan, we want to change our name. We don't want to be this anymore. We want to be Legion. You know what I mean? So one or two reasons they named them Legion. Either one, the Romans did it, and the reason they did it is because they had occupied all these places, and the Legion army was in all these places, and they wanted these people to fear the Legion army. So they would equate the Legion army with demons. That's one idea. The other one is when the Vandals and the Germans come in and they sack Rome, and the Roman Empire falls and it breaks apart. The Vatican takes its place and becomes the head of Christianity, and they want to separate themselves from Rome, right? Or the powers that be that are breaking apart. They want to separate themselves from Rome. So they put that verse in there, or they change it to where the demons are named Legion, so everybody will hate the Romans because Rome has fallen now, and the new power. One of those two things. Propaganda. I'm Johnny Gunn in the Red Heifer. They were Jeremiah. If it's time to Revelations, I'm going to tell you all about the secrets of the world and Jesus Christ.